Hey, so as a follow-up to a video that I shot around emotional boundaries, I thought I'd take a moment now to talk about time boundaries. That is, ensuring that the people in your life respect you by way of your time. Something that also becomes increasingly more important as you get older. As I like to say, as you get older, you'll not only find yourself lacking free time, but less things you want to spend your time on. So it becomes ever more important that you begin to start early in setting those time boundaries. That way, your friends, family, professional peers not only understand how to interact with you, but when to interact with you, so there's no chaos in your life. So I got a couple examples from my own life that I'd like to share with you and that may help you along your own path. So the first type of boundary that I want to talk about falls under what I like to call the responsive category. That is boundaries that you put in place to protect you against people vying for your time. And the first example that I want to share is something that I'm sure most of you can relate to. So if I can take you back some years to my first job, I remember coming in bright-eyed, ready to take on the world. Still am. But I remember that there's a point when you first start your career, your first job, you want to kind of please everybody, right? And not in a pitiful type of way, but you're just eager, you're excited, you got all this fresh energy. And I remember going into meetings, and whenever time there was a request that was sent through, I always had my hand up to volunteer to take care of it, right? We'd sit in these big group meetings with different departments, and whenever time someone would say, hey, well, maybe we should do this, or maybe we should do that, I was always the person that said, okay, I'll take that on, I'll do that. And again, it worked very well to get me a lot of friends. People loved me when I joined meetings. I'm sure some people even requested that I join meetings. I made a lot of lifelong friends that I still have to this day. But I realized soon after that, and again, this is kind of simple math, but you don't always see it. It's like, if I keep on taking these requests, the role that I'm here to serve will fall through, right? I won't be able to take care of the tasks that I've been hired to do. So I ultimately had to learn, and that was my first brush with time boundaries. Again, I didn't have the phrase down, but I knew that I had to learn to protect my time. So in the beginning, I struggled with that because you set an expectation as someone that's always eager and ready to help. So over the following weeks, I began to think more and more about how I can protect my time without offending anyone. Again, I had that expectation set, and I got this idea. I said, well, every morning I come to work, I have my planner, and I write down everything that I plan to accomplish that day. And sometimes I'd even write projections in parentheses of how long it would take me. So I said, well, number one, I need to start bringing that to those meetings, right? And then number two, what I can begin to do, and this is what I did in the footer of the latest page that I was on, I would write how much time, if any, that I could offer to any project that came in. And that became a game changer because I realized that I wasn't very good at saying no in the moment because I was ill prepared. So if someone recommended I take care of something, I just instantly say, yeah, I'll do it. It was just it was a yes switch. It was just stuck up. And I needed to learn to be a little bit more flexible with that. So when I began to bring my planner into those meetings, when someone requested or suggested that I work on some project outside of my range, I would be able to refer. I was able to refer to that planner and accurately say, hey, I don't have time for that. I got to take care of this, this, and this. And even the mere fact of me bringing that planner to the meeting showed that I was organized, so they knew that I wasn't just making something up. So from an optics standpoint, it was also very effective, right? So that was my first brush with time boundaries, again, in a very much responsive type of way because people were vying for my time. And that was something that helped me, and that's something that I even do to this day. If I have a meeting coming up, I work with a bunch of nonprofits outside of my independent work. So it's something that's very useful, and I recommend you do that. Now, the next type of boundary that I want to share with you falls under the preventative category. Now, these are boundaries that you set ahead of time and up front and communicate clearly to everyone in your life whom you interact with frequently in order to avoid any conflict. Now, to illustrate this, A couple years ago, I made a transition from working within the corporate space to going the independent route. Now, when you do that, what happens? You become the master of your time. You have no one to report to but yourself, right? Sounds great. Now, here's what I experienced. People in my life started to reach out to me on their days off at all hours of the day saying, hey, let's hang out, let's grab a coffee at 1, 2, 3, 4, 11 o'clock. You know, they felt, hey, what do you have to lose? There's no one you're reporting to. And I realized very quickly that I had to establish a boundary with all these people one by one. And what I ended up doing is saying, look, and again, I'm a big proponent of, you know, telling people, sharing with people how you feel, right? Give them that holistic view of what you're going through. That way they can clearly understand your picture of experience. So I shared with them, I said, look, you don't leave the corporate life to go independent just to kick your legs up, right? And relax. This is something that you have to take extremely serious. I'm working 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe 10 times harder than I would in a corporate job because I have on many different hats now. And it's a stressful situation, and I got to be able to maximize my time and work as long as I need to. So moving forward, don't expect me to be available to hang out from 9 to 6 on any weekday, no matter what, right? Unless I come to you and say, hey, I got a free day, or I'm relaxed and I'm taking a mental health day, do not come to me thinking that I'm free. And I communicated this to each and every one of my friends. And slowly but surely, it took a while. They began to stop asking, right? They began to stop requesting my time. And again, they respect me for it because I didn't go into it and say, well, I'm busy, right? Like a lot of other people do. They just say, oh, I'm busy. And they say, oh, well, you're arrogant now. And then you make enemies. No, I came to them. I opened up. I told them how I feel. Again, not easy for men, but I told them how I feel and how much this meant to me. And they began to understand the full picture, and they let me be. So again, it's important that you begin to set those preventative boundaries in your life if you want to avoid any time conflicts moving forward. Now, there's one more preventative time boundary that I recently incorporated into my routine that I thought was worth sharing. Now, if you follow my videos, and you've probably already heard this, but one thing I began to do is within 2 hours of me going to sleep, so I try to get to bed around, let's say 10 o'clock on a great day, right? Sometimes it's usually 11, but let's say it's 10 o'clock. By 9 o'clock, I take my cell phone, because we know how addictive that is, right, with social media. I take it and I put it in another room. I cut it off and I put it in another room. That's one preventative time boundary that I've recently incorporated to ensure that I get quality sleep, right? Because I found that there were many times where I'd begin to, right before I go to sleep, I pick up my phone, go on Instagram, go on LinkedIn, and now I'm scrolling, right? My thumb is just going and I'm up, right? It's 11, 12, 1, and I can't do that, right? Again, I have to optimize my time. So one quick recommendation to you, right? A quick preventative time boundary for you is to begin to leave your phone in another room before you go to sleep, because you're trying to wind down, not get turned up. So do that, and that should help you get more quality sleep, especially for you entrepreneurs, right? Sleep is extremely important. So I thought I'd share that as well, and hopefully this and the additional 2 time boundaries that I share with you will help you along your journey. Best of luck.